You are listening to the Disney Dream Girls, an unofficial Disney theme parks podcast, and this is show number 204 for Sunday, the 8th of April, 2018.
Where dreams begin.
Hello and welcome to the Disney Dream Girls podcast. My name is Michelle Young, and together with my good friend Jane Phipps, we are your guides to the place where dreams begin. Well, coming up on this show, I have got a fantastic guest coming on to talk all about his defection from Disneyland to Walt Disney World. Yes, it's Mr. Paul Barrie of Window to the Magic podcast, and he'll be talking all about his recent trip. Alas, no Jane on this week's show, but she'll be back in the next week or so. But until then, let's get on with the show with some Disney history.
Am I the only one who thinks that fanfare thing goes on way too long? Anyway, hello my lovelies and welcome to the next episode of This Day in Disney History. Now, let's start with today, this day. That's why it's called This Day in Disney History. On the 8th of April 2018 in 1974, the then Treasure Island opened. This was later changed to Discovery Island and was situated on Bay Lake behind the Contemporary Hotel. Alas, this is no longer available for guests to visit. Moving on to this day in 2006 and over to Disneyland Paris for an attraction opening day. Buzz Lightyear Laser Blast, and this attraction has a version in every Disney theme park. Onwards now to 2008 to Disneyland and the King Arthur Carousel. On this day, Julie Andrews had a special carousel horse dedicated to her, which was affectionately named Jingles. This is now the hardest horse to catch a ride on. Ending this day in 2013, Annette Funtucello sadly died. Annette was one of the most popular Mouseketeers on the original Mickey Mouse Club. But let's move on a day to the 9th of April, 1936. Snow White and Dopey appear on the cover of Liberty magazine. Phew, that was an easy one to squeeze in. Line she wrote for me in the script. Stop doing my own ad-libs. It's my job. Moving on to 1961, and Walt Disney personally dedicates the Snow White Wishing Well and Grotto. Money raised here from guest donations into the Wishing Well help children's charities all over the world. And finally, on this day, on the 10th of April 1984, the voice of Rapunzel, Ciaran, Rapunzel, from Tangled, Mandy Moore was born. Happy 34th birthday, Mandy. Well, that's it for me now. Yeah. Goodbye.
Thank you for that, Ciaran. Another super set of facts and a double header for Snow White. Fantastic stuff. Let's move on to our main feature.
Where dreams begin.
I would like to now welcome to the Disney Dream Girls a very, very special friend of mine, a previous guest, mentor of the Disney Dream Girls, who helped me through many an issue when I was setting up the podcast, and also he's an excellent tour guide to Disneyland and all of California, the wonderful voice behind Window to the Magic, Paul Barrie. Hello there, Paul.
Hello, how are you?
I am much better for speaking with you, my friend. It's been too long.
It has. You were making me sound old there. You're like, he taught me how to podcast back in the day, before the dinosaurs.
In the day when we used to have chalk and blackboards and...
That's right, yeah. Back when we had to do this via the phone,
Yeah, wow. Many moons ago, because you were quite instrumental when Miniminxes went down and we sort of re-brought up together Disney Dream Girls. You helped me put together the theme tune and you helped me with so many technical things because I'm not the most technical person. So, you've been doing Window to the Magic now, how many years?
Oh, I'm in season 13 currently.
Lucky 13, and may there be many more ahead.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, we're going strong, so I don't see an end to it anytime soon, and I'm not sure whether that's good or bad. I guess we'll let the listeners answer that one, huh?
I'm sure at this point the listeners are saying, oh, it's good. We love listening to St. Paul.
Yeah, they do enjoy the show, and it's always good to hear. So,
because those of my listeners who haven't heard your show, it's a very different take on a podcast. Please give us a synopsis of what people can expect.
Definitely different from what we're doing here, because on my show, I walk through the Disney parks and resorts with microphones mounted in my ears that, due to their placement, will record 3D audio. And I walk through the park and we record all the fun. We come back. I remove all the boring bits out of it. And then, because if you go to a day at Disney, I mean, you're going to get on 5 or 6 rides throughout the course of a 12-hour day. And, if you're doing the big ones. And so for the most part, most people don't want to hear an hour to 90 minutes of waiting in line. And so I'll cut that down to, 30 seconds. And then, we just go in the park, have a good time, and then I present it to all of you. It's fun to do.
It's fun to listen to because it really does take you to the theme park when you're getting those missing feelings for the place you love.
Yeah, well, I live just down the street from the park, so it's not really a problem to get there anymore.
January was it now? Oh, my word.
Yep, it was quite a while ago now.
So are you going back to Walt Disney World after an absence of how many years?
Well, technically about 5 or 6, but when I went that time, it was only for Calvin's 21st birthday, and I was in Florida for less than 30 hours. For vacation-wise, it had been 12 years.
Wow. So I thought it'd be great if we could just come and talk about the changes, the evolution, that sort of thing. And if people want to hear a more thorough recording of your experiences in the style of Window to the Magic, there's 2 ways they can do that. They can find your show on all those podcast catching places, but they can also find additional content. Would you like to tell people how they can find that?
Well, if they listen to the public show and they like what they're hearing, we have another level. It's the Window to the Magic Recurring Supporter Club. And basically what that is you toss a few dollars in Window to the Magic's direction each and every month using PayPal. And we then send you bonus, what we call thank you shows, which is supplementary content. This particular year, I am sending the supporters every minute of the 3 days that I was at Walt Disney World. And I mean literally every minute. I was in the parks for 3 days, and I recorded from the time I left the hotel room in the morning to the time I got back at the end of the night. And every moment is being presented to the recurring supporters.
Wow.
Yeah. 39 hours, 39 minutes, and 18 seconds worth of audio.
That's some time.
I missed a perfect hat trick there by 21 seconds. So, yeah, I was looking for a way to extend the audio for another 21 seconds once I got back. I was like, oh, it could have been 39, 39, 39. But, my OCD lived through it. So we're good.
So as I said earlier, what we're going to do today is have a little stroll around each theme park in turn and talk about some of the things that you found interesting, whether it was a change, whether it was being able to visit an old favourite, etc. So now we've got all the advertising done, we can get on to the sheer pure bliss of Walt Disney World. And obviously going to Disney World in comparison to Disneyland, which you've said, you just decide one night after work to pop down or at the weekend. Walt Disney World's very different. You've got to do a lot of planning. Did you do any planning before you went?
Oh, yes, I did a lot of planning. You have to, especially now. I have found that even the amount of planning that I used to do back, because this was my 10th visit to Walt Disney World. The previous 9 times I had the joy of, over the course of a year, setting up all of my lunches and dinners and planning which park I was going to be in on what day. And of course, because I normally go for 8 days or longer, there's multiple days in each park. So there was all of that fun. On this one, it was 3 days going in. I went to 3 of the 4 parks and then I was gone. And so there was a lot of setup to do and a lot of hard choices to make as to what I was going to do and, what I was going to see. And more importantly, what I was not going to see. So it was an interesting adventure, to be sure.
How did you decide on where to stay?
I went with my standard, which is actually the All-Star Resorts. I love the All-Star movies, and I stay there pretty much every time I go.
Okay, well that's good to know, because me and our mutual friend Stephen are staying there this August.
Yeah, it's a good place to go. Are you staying at movies, music, or sports?
He demanded, because we originally got sports, he demanded movies.
Okay, yeah, movies is where I normally stay. I like to stay in the Buzz Lightyear building. I actually started my visit this time with something that I had never done before, which is my good friends Josh and Katie. They had some extra DVC points, use them or lose them points. So they said, well, we're not going to be going in time to use these. So, if you want them, we can put them together with a couple of valid points and we can book you one night in the Animal Kingdom Lodge. And I said, no, thanks. I appreciate it. But, of course I said yes. So my arrival night there was a Savannah View room at Animal Kingdom Lodge.
They are the greatest.
Yeah, it was nice. It was pouring rain when I got up the next morning, and got up is a loose term because I set my alarm for 6 a.m. Eastern time, which is 3 a.m. Pacific time. So my body is thinking that I'm trying to get out of bed at 3 a.m. I'm laying in bed and I'm like, what is that noise? And I realized that it's pouring rain. So I set the alarm for another hour and I woke up and I was like, oh, good, it's still raining. Set the alarm for another hour. Here, 8 o'clock, I wake up and I'm like, oh, darn it, it's not raining anymore. Okay. So I got up and headed into the park because the Savannah was completely devoid of all animals. They had all run for cover. It was raining so hard. So it was a beautiful scene, but not a single animal to be found.
That's totally a shame, isn't it? Oh, dear.
Yeah, it was pretty, but, I was wondering if they were eventually going to have dinosaurs on their dinosaur tour.
So where did you decide to go then on your first day?
Well, I was right there at Animal Kingdom, so I figured the best place to go would be Animal Kingdom. So I hopped on the bus, got that long 5-minute bus ride over around the corner, and got off and walked up to the main gate. And I was so excited because this was my first experience using a magic band.
Wow.
I was very excited. I'd never entered a park before using, my wrist. And so I was... I walked up and I very proudly said, all right, let's see if this works. And I set it up and it goes, boop, blue. And I went, is that right? And the guy goes, nope, try it again. And he goes, boop, and it goes blue. And he's like, it says you don't have any tickets.
Oh, God, no.
So for the next 43 minutes, I stood over at guest services while they tried to figure it out.
And what had gone wrong?
They had some sort of technical difficulties that morning that was causing tickets to not connect properly. And so whatever it was, they knew what was going on, tried to fix it, and it eventually just resolved itself. Quite the experience.
Absolutely, yeah. So you got into the park. Did you have any fast passes booked, or was there anything that was screaming, I must go here first?
Well, that was one of the new things is using the My Disney Experience app. Yeah, I did have 3 fast passes booked, and being the planner that I am, I spaced them out throughout the course of the day. Right after I got in, I had Finding Nemo the musical.
Oh, perfect.
And then later on in the day, I had what I call It's a Small Blue World, which is the Navi River journey.
Just stop there. We have to talk about this attraction, because I know you probably wouldn't have done Flight of Passage because of you having issues with regards to the motion sickness. Am I right?
Yep. So my experience in Pandora was the Navi River journey and the Santuli Canteen. To be honest, while it was very pretty and it was, it was constructed well. I mean, nothing fell over on me while I was there, I guess. It seemed very small. It seemed as if, there should have been more to this land. And it just, I was impressed and depressed simultaneously. I was impressed by how big the flying rocks were, the floating mountains, whatever they are. But there was only the one. And I was excited and disappointed simultaneously. But it's definitely a sight to be seen.
So out of the two, Navi River Journey, Santuli Canteen, which gets the Paul Barrie seal of approval?
Well, if I had to pick one of the two, I would say the Navi River journey, because seeing that shaman that is at the end of the attraction is very cool. I just wish it was about, 5 times the ride.
Yeah.
Be nice if it was, 15 minutes long, like It's a Small World is. If you just floated through and maybe there was a story that happened. But you're just kind of floating through and there's animals and things that are jumping on leaves and things walking by in the background and whatever. And then shaman and you're done. And you're like, whoa.
Yep, that's 90 seconds I'm not going to get back.
That's right. Yeah, it is. It's about 4 minutes. As I walk in, I say, we're going to walk in, we're going to walk under a thatched roof, and then we're going to go in to a cave to ride the ride. And I walk in and I just blurt out, that is a lot of people. Because once you get underneath the thatched roof, you can see the huge queue for the ride. And it's just switchback after switchback after switchback. I certainly hope all of those people know that it's just a 4-minute ride, because I would be really upset if I waited an hour and a half to 2 hours and just got to see 4 minutes worth of ride. So I guess if it's exciting enough, it's not a problem.
True. Did you manage to spend some time in Pandora on an evening? What was your take on that?
Yeah, the last thing I did as I left the park was I walked back through Pandora, and that's very pretty. It's lit up very nicely. A lot of stuff is internally lit, and a lot of LED lighting and black light everywhere, which made the window to the Magic logo on my shirt glow like nobody's business. I'm walking through the park as this floating logo, but the sound changes, the background noises, the animals. I didn't spend enough time in there to be able to tell you the specifics, but it was markedly different at night. And, it was pretty. It was very nice. A good place to go and just kind of sit, almost in the dark and just enjoy what they built.
Fabulous. Any other highlights for Animal Kingdom before we hop on to another park?
Well, I did learn one thing here at Animal Kingdom that I didn't know, and that is if you put your last advance Fast Pass for Rivers of Light at the end of the day, you remove yourself from being able to select any additional Fast Passes for the entire day. And I did not know that. And so I really wanted to go and see Rivers of Light, even though I had seen it online and knew that it was, just basically World of Color Animal Edition. I still wanted to see it. So I put one of my Fast Passes down for that. And I learned very quickly that is a mistake. But I was glad I got to see that. The music is great. The sound in the theater is fabulous. It was just a good way to end my Animal Kingdom experience.
It is a lovely little show, but I did the same error, and I've remembered that error so that this year I won't be using a Fast Pass on it.
Right. Once I got to my third day, all of my Fast Passes were within an hour of the time I got to the park.
That's good.
Yeah, it worked out much better that way.
Did you manage to drop by Tiffin's and have anything to eat there?
I did, actually. I went with John Carigliano and his wife, Anne Marie, and we met there for an early dinner. It was actually about 3:30. Went in and got myself a bourbon and sat down and had some tri-tip steak and a little bit of dessert. And it was very enjoyable. I was looking forward to going there, and it did not disappoint at all.
Isn't the theming beautiful?
Yeah, it's very nice. And the cast member that was helping us was friendly and, was laughing and just having a good time. And she was really interactive, which is nice. And so we had a really good visit. Here's a hint for anybody who knows a cast member. If you take a cast member with you, they can probably get you 40% off your meal.
That's good to know.
Yes, it's good to know.
Okay, so you've done Animal Kingdom, you've enjoyed it, you've been able to see the park in a new light, because obviously the last time you went there was no Pandora. Do you feel that Animal Kingdom is now truly a whole full day park?
I do. I didn't have any problem filling my entire day with activities and walking out of the park going, oh, and I didn't do the safari. Oh, and I didn't do this, I mean, I got to ride Everest and things like that, but I didn't get to do the safari journey, whatever it is. What is that called? Do you remember?
Kilimanjaro Safari.
That one. I didn't get to do that, and I should have. Had I known how they work the park, I probably could have squeezed that in. But yeah, I definitely had things that I still wanted to do, and the park was closing. So yeah, full day park for sure.
Moving on to the next park you visited. So let's keep up the sequential sort of motion. Where did you go next?
Epcot.
Of course.
Or should I say Epcot Center. Yeah, I went into this park. This was fun. I spent the day tooling around. I met up with several people. I met up with Tom Corliss from WDWNT in the morning, and then I met up with a Window to the Magic blast from the past, Mr. Daniel Lightfoot, who was, at the time he was helping us, was a 14 or 15-year-old aspiring video producer, and he was so young when he came out to meet us in the park for dinner. Mm-hmm. His dad had to come along with him.
Oh.
Yeah. So now he's, 27 years old. He's running his own business. He works also for Disney in the photography department. Not the in-park PhotoPass people, but above that. Mm. And he's doing really well. I got to have lunch with him, and you know where I had lunch because I sent you a picture of the menu.
Yeah, I was getting messages from Paul saying, what's good? What should I order? And I just said, it was like trying to be polite to you, Paul, because I'm not really a fan of Rose and Crown.
Right. I said on the show, I asked Michelle, what I should get. And she said, you should get the heck out of there. That's what you should get.
I'm sorry. It just brings back painful childhood memories of tables that smell of vinegar and carpet that's a bit sticky and smelly of lager. But I suppose it's authentic theming. Yeah,
probably. Yeah. And that's what I was wondering is, why would someone from the UK not like what they're doing in the UK if it's supposed to be accurate?
You see, I love the beautiful buildings. They're stunning. It's just the cuisine and the food and the interior. It's just, yeah. But I think you enjoyed what you had.
Yeah, I did. I had some sort of chicken curry dish. I think chicken marsala curry or something like that. And it had, a side of string beans, which I know you were laughing about. Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because apparently string beans don't go with curry. I don't know.
Well, let me put it to you, okay? Uh-huh. You guys like to have your waffle and chicken, don't you?
Well, some do, yes.
Well, yeah, some Americans love their waffle and chicken. Well, just imagine getting a big tub of, vanilla ice cream and chocolate sauce and pouring it all over. It's just not done. Not on chicken.
It's not done?
No.
Oh, I thought it sounded good.
You see, massive ocean between us and different taste palettes. Okay,
that's right. Yeah. Now, it was fun tootling around Epcot and seeing all of the stuff that was different, and also missing a lot of the stuff that is now gone. Some of it recently gone, such as Ellen's Energy Adventure.
Of course.
Yeah, that has closed, and but it was nice to go through and see Nemo and go visit Figment, and I went with the new less intense experience, and I flew around the Earth on Mission Space. I was able to walk off of that, which is good.
Always a bonus.
Yes, that was right before I met Daniel for lunch, so it was really good to be able to walk off and not be motion sick, so that I could, want to eat.
Did you manage to go and see the Frozen duo over at Norway?
I did, and that was one of my fast passes for that day, and that was very enjoyable. It was fun having been on the Maelstrom thrill ride as many times as I had been on it, to go in and see how they've changed the building, how the queue is different, and then once you get on the ride, how they've added extra scenes before what used to be the beginning of the ride. Yeah, it was, the animatronics were amazing. Even though they sang that song, I think the thing that was good about it was the fact that we were moving away from, it's Elsa, right, that sings it?
Yeah.
We were moving away from Elsa the entire time she was singing it. Because you get up in the ride, you've been on it, yeah?
Yeah.
So you get up in the ride, you come up and it's crescendoing to the chorus, and then you bump into her, and the boat is spinning to go backwards. And then as she says, "Let it go," you start to move backwards, which is exactly what I do every time I hear that song.
Oh, you crack me up.
Whatever the guy's name is at the end, Sprinkles, the snowman, he says, "Let it go," as he pushes you down the waterfall. So that's it's fun taking an existing ride mechanism and reworked it into a totally new story. It was enjoyable.
Did you top your evening off with a little bit of illuminations?
Sort of. We've done illuminations on the show. And so going and standing and just listening to the music, it just seemed a little normal to me. And so what I did is I went over and I rode Test Track. I was supposed to ride that right after Mission Space for a show that I was recording in the park, but I didn't have enough time before lunch. And so I had to go back and pick up Test Track later. Once I was done with Test Track, the show was almost starting. And so as Illuminations is running, I walk into World Showcase, go in and ride El Rio del Tiempo, or the Grand Fiesta Tour, as it's known nowadays.
Yeah.
And then I come out and I walk clockwise around World Showcase. I'm intending to go to the America Pavilion to see the American Adventure. With all of my planning and whatever, one of the things that I did not notice was that America was closed.
Oh.
And so I got there in the middle of this show going off, in illuminations going off and doing all this other stuff. I get to America and I'm like, wait, it's closed. And there's a cast member there and they're like, yeah, it's going to be closed for a couple more weeks. And so then I finish Illuminations as I'm walking the rest of the way around World Showcase.
That sounds good, though.
Yeah, the supporters will eventually get to hear me walking around World Showcase singing along, as you can't walk around Illuminations without, doing the hey, 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 as you're going along and just singing along with the music and going bam every time a firework goes off, because it's a great show.
It is. I'll be sad if I don't get to see that by the time I go in August, because there are rumours it's going to finish.
Oh, Illuminations? Really? Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, according to Tom Corliss on WDW News today, he's rumoured it.
Interesting. I wonder if they're going to take it out and put in a Guardians of the Galaxy fireworks show.
Oh, God, please, not more Marvel.
Well, there's a lot more coming, so.
Yeah, I know, but hey-ho. Any other changes that you felt? What about Soarin'? Did you manage to go on that? Because that could have been one of those attractions that might have made your motion sickness a little bit eat?
Yeah, I didn't go on Soarin' because it is virtually identical to the one in Florida or the one in California.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't want to spend the time to go out there and do that. I did the land, I did Nemo, I did Figment, I did Test Track, I did Mission Space, and of course I did Spaceship Earth. But I didn't choose to go in and do Soarin'. It would have been nice to see the ending, as you come in over Epcot. It wasn't that big of a deal because my show is audio. Just changing the visuals doesn't really change the experience. So it didn't really work for what I was doing.
Makes sense. Anything else with regards to Epcot that you want to mention, or are we ready to move to the next park?
Yeah, I think we're good with that. I do go into the park and use the audio descriptive technology that Disney provides, which is as we're walking around, it's describing the area we're in and describing the rides and the shows as we experience them. So as we're sitting in, say, Impressions de France, there's a little voice that's coming via a set of headphones that I'm wearing that is saying, now we pass the French countryside and, go over the, whatever tower and we see this in the background. And so, it's kind of fun to play with Disney's technology that they offer for non-sighted individuals in the park. For people who are listening to a show that is not a sighted experience. And so the audio description was a great topper to add on top of that. And I think it worked out well. So it'll be something for people to listen to and enjoy in the next coming months.
Fantastic. So which park did you choose next?
Well, there was only one left. And
hang on, you've missed half a day studios.
No, there's no studios park. Because it's currently closed and being replaced by Star Wars Land.
So you didn't bother your time to go pop by? I
didn't, because one of the cost-saving things, and the first time I've ever done this on a Walt Disney World visit, is I bought individual one-park, no-park hopper tickets. If I was going to go to studios, I was committed to a full day over there, and I only had 3 days. And so as much as I would have wanted to go and have lunch at Sci-Fi Dine-In or to ride Rock and Roller Coaster and the awesome Tower of Terror, it was just not going to happen.
Let's make a deal, Paul. No one's listening, just between me and you.
Sure.
Stephen and I have got a reservation in August for Sci-Fi Diner.
Okay.
We'll work something out, whether it's via Skype or I record something. You'll be with us virtually.
Oh, I like it. Okay, sounds good. I thought you were going to say you'll leave him tied up in the bedroom and I can fly out there and go to use his ticket.
I'll push him off a cruise ship. I'll do something. I better not say that because Stephen listens now. So he's finding out all the secret things I'm plotting against him.
That's right. And God forbid he actually falls over the side of the ship. They're going to blame you because you talked about it 6 months earlier.
I'm going to spend my life in Disney cruise ship jail.
There you go. As you could tell, I did go to Magic Kingdom, and I did one of the new experiences this time. Instead of walking out and getting on the bus and going to the park, I left my room. I picked up my phone. I got on to the Lyft ride-sharing service.
Oh, I know what's coming.
Yeah, I dialed up the Disney's minivan service. And so I had a little red minivan with little white polka dots come to my resort and pick me up and drive me just by myself right over to the Magic Kingdom, drop me off right in front. And it was the best $20 I had ever spent.
And people who know Paul have a little catchphrase. It's good to be DePaul.
It is good to be DePaul. Yeah, I had gotten invited while I was waiting for that 43 minutes at Animal Kingdom 2 days earlier. I had gotten invited to test out, to be in the beta group that was trying out that service because it's not available to everyone quite yet. So I was excited to be allowed to try it out. And so when I got up on Wednesday morning, I said, well, let's just take that and we'll see how it is. And boy, it's really nice to have a clean van with a Disney cast member just come right to your room, for lack of a better term. I mean, I walked from my room to the end of the building, and there was a road right there, and they picked me up right there. And they dropped me off at drop number 11 at Magic Kingdom. And if you guys know that, that's the one that's closest to the park. And it was a really magical experience the whole time. They have raised the prices since I wrote it. It is now $25, but that is for a party of 6.
Yeah.
For up to 6 people. So, if it's you and your husband and your 2 kids and mom and dad at the end of the, at the end of the night, and the kids are screaming and tired and your feet are hurting, and, what's better than just to have a nice clean van show up, grab you, and you don't have to stand on a bus. You don't have to crunch in with a million people. I mean, they're going to make a lot of money off of that.
I must admit, you're persuading me so much, because a nice little trip out to All Stars at the end of the night, not having to go on a bus. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I like the bus system, and I'm willing to let people go by so that I can ride the next bus and have a seat. But this minivan service was really exactly what I needed that day. It worked out really well. And I got into the park, and it was from the time I comment in the audio as I'm walking into Adventureland that it had been 1 hour from the time that I had started recording back in my room. And so what that meant was that from the time I was standing in my room through getting finalized to get out of the room to requesting the ride to having the ride show up, which took about 9 minutes, to doing the ride, then going through security, then walking down Main Street, seeing the trolley show, and then going to the hub and hanging a left into Adventureland. All of that transpired within 1 hour.
Wow.
So that minivan service was a great time saver. Yeah, I would recommend it for anybody who has, money just laying around not doing anything.
Yeah, I'll start digging down the back of the sofa now.
That's right.
Let me think then. So what is new to you in the Magic Kingdom? I imagine the biggie is going to be New Fantasyland.
Yeah, New Fantasyland was, as far as I know, I think that was really the only thing that was absolutely new to me. And I did get lost because I didn't know the layout. I was coming in from Cosmic Rays. So I was over in that area. And so I walked past Teacups. And now instead of walking around and getting to Fantasyland, once you pass the Teacups, you're in Fantasyland. And I didn't realize that if I'd stayed, where the road forks there, if I had gone to the right, I would have gone right to the Little Mermaid. And instead, I went to the left. I ended up having to walk all the way around the mine train ride, trying to find the Little Mermaid. It was fun. I got to, walk around and go, oh, there's Beast's Tower, and, there's the tavern, which I didn't go into, things like that. But yeah, the area is very pretty, very well done. I'm not sure why they have those weird castle turrets just out in the middle of nowhere for no reason.
Yeah, it's a bit, I suppose it's sort of like, you could sort of think, well, they're like castle sort of gates to get in, but then there's nothing either side. It's a bit, I don't know, it's weird. Yeah,
it was weird, and they don't even provide like a lot of shade or anything, so I don't know what the purpose was, but it was neat finally seeing that and getting to ride the coaster. It was fun, and a new experience that also happened was that the Hall of Presidents had opened.
Did you go in?
I did, and I knew that I was in the right place when I walked in past the security guards that were standing at the door.
Oh, Lord.
And So I walked in, and they were doing a nice presentation with the cast member had a microphone, and he was walking around, and he was asking people, basically testing them on their American president knowledge. So they would say, who was the only president to get married in the White House, and if anybody knew the answer, then they got a little plastic American flag.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, it was, so we had little kids walking around with little plastic flags and things. And, because all the kids know the answers, but all the parents are like, I don't know, who's the president?
Oh, I'm sure the parents know who the president is. Maybe not the past ones and all their history.
Yes. But yeah, and then I went in and I had seen the show already via YouTube, and I was very impressed with, considering the political climate nowadays and, what's been going on in Washington and throughout the world. I thought they did a really, really good job of redoing the attraction. The theme is great. The fact that it starts with the words, "This presentation is dedicated to the memory of Walt Disney," who throughout his life had, the utmost respect for the office of the president and the idea of the American presidency. And then that's what the show is called, is the idea of a president. So it talks about what the American presidency is supposed to be, what it was intended to do, who the men were who brought it to that stature. And, it didn't deal with any one president. It wasn't Lincoln heavy. It wasn't Washington heavy. It was just the story of the idea of the presidency. And I walked out and I said, I really like that. That was really enjoyable. It was not time wasted, which is good.
Good. I haven't yet seen it myself. I haven't even had a peek on YouTube. I'm staying away from it. And I have never even been in prior.
Oh, really?
To the insertion of the current president.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. But, it was good. I went and I did Skipper Canteen, which is a restaurant I had never been to. I had no idea even where it was. I walked right past it the first time in the morning without even realizing it. And then coming back the other direction, I was not aware of how I possibly could have missed it, because that's a big sign. Everything was good. I think the highlight of the day was the mobile ordering system that they now have for the counter service restaurants. I walked into the park and got in line for Pirates of the Caribbean. I ordered my food at Cosmic Rays Starlight Cafe. Mm-hmm. I paid for it. I got on the boat. I rode the ride. I got off. As I walked out of the building, I chose the "I'm here" button. Now, I'm on the other side of the park, and I'm telling them that I'm there. But the reason for this is because once you tell them you're there, then they start preparing your food. Mm-hmm. I walked from Pirates over to the restaurant, and as I was passing Cindy's Castle, I got a notation that said, "Your food is ready. It's at bay number 2. Come pick it up." And so I walked right in. There was no wait at all. I just walked right up, grabbed my food, and went and sat down and listened to Sonny Eclipse sing his music from U-Nork. And
perfect.
Yeah, it worked out really well. So I had 2 experiences using the mobile ordering system, one at Santulli Canteen at Pandora, and the other one there. And I learned to do it in advance, because I stood around for like 10 minutes in Pandora waiting for my food to be ready. And I was like, why is this helpful? And then it clicked as to what I should do. And when I did it in Magic Kingdom, it worked out just fine.
That's brilliant. What did you think to the food at Skipper's Canteen?
I loved it. It was a good variety of flavors and choices. Because I was with another cast member at that point, I found out that I got 40% off there as well. I said, well, in that case, I'm going to order 2 of everything. I ordered 2 appetizers and that sort of thing, because I looked at the appetizers and I said, well, I want to try that one, but I want to try that one. Well, they're basically half off. So if I just buy 2, then I can, try a little bit of each and then take some with me. We were dining not so early. This was, I think, 5:45 was our reservation. But it worked out really well because as I was hanging out later that evening at the Top of the World Lounge in the Bay Lake Towers,
nice.
I was eating the rest of my dinner from earlier. It worked out really nice. The new quotes, new enhancements to the Haunted Mansion I had not seen, and I enjoyed those greatly. I have since listened to the audio and found out that the audio in the Walt Disney World Mansion is far and above. I mean, it is way better than the one in California.
Really?
Yeah. If you take away all the visuals and you just listen to what is coming at you audibly, it is much better as you're going through Florida. It's amazing. I was literally going, wow, I don't remember all of this happening. Either it's some sort of ghostly effect on my audio that doesn't really happen in the ride, or they've really got it dialed in up there. I think it's option number 2.
So you said you spent the evening at the Top of the World Club. Did you manage to go outside and watch the fireworks happily ever after?
No, I had extra magic hours at the Magic Kingdom that night. And so I was still very much in park mode when the fireworks were going on. So I was working my way from, where had we been? I think we had been we were riding Jungle Cruise as the fireworks were going off. As you're listening to the Jungle Cruise skipper murder her lines in the background, you bam, bam. So we got off of there. I went into Tomorrowland after that, and then everybody left the park. So the fireworks were well over by the time I got up to Bay Lake Towers. Matter of fact, it was just me and my host for the evening, Michael Vincent. Thanks again, Michael. And 2 cast members, the bartender and the server. And that was all that was up there. So it was nice. We sat up there, had some bourbon, had some dinner, walked outside, enjoyed the patio a little bit, took a few photos, and then went home for the evening.
It's pretty special up there. I know I was very fortunate. Erica Barthel last year invited me up, and it was beautiful just to be able to see the fireworks from such an unusual vantage point.
Yeah, I've seen the Wishes fireworks from Contemporary. And so I can't imagine it's much different. But it's definitely a nice viewpoint and something, if you can do it, that I would suggest that you do for sure.
Absolutely. That's the Walt Disney trip really basically done. Did you manage to get over to Disney Springs?
I did. I went actually twice.
Ooh.
I went because of the way that I did the trip. I showed up I landed in Florida at 7:30 a.m. on Sunday morning, but I didn't have any park tickets for that day. And so I had scheduled a Kungaloosh meet at 4 o'clock at Trader Sam's. And before that, I went over to Disney Springs and had lunch at Enzo's Hideaway. And then afterwards, after my park days were over, I met up at Raglan Road with Brian Ripper from All About the Mouse. And then he and I went to the Edison and back to Enzo's Hideaway. It was shocking to see how different Disney Springs is than Pleasure Island, especially since they left a lot of the buildings intact that used to be Pleasure Island. So as I'm walking through, I'm very familiar with some of these buildings, and I'm walking along and it's like I'm crossing a bridge over a big body of water, and I look forward and I'm like, well, wait, that's the old Mannequins building. That means I'm currently standing in the middle of the parking lot, but I'm on a bridge over a body of water, and there's this huge shopping mall behind me. And so I was lost because the place is so big now, and there's no real parking that like I was used to, which is that big, huge parking lot that used to go all the way around it, single story parking. Now they have 2, and they're eventually, I guess, going to have 3 multi-story parking garages that you park in and then you walk in.
Yeah.
From what I'm told from those who have, the locals who drive over there, that it's great because you walk in and they tell you right where to park, and there's always an open parking space. And there's no driving around for 20 minutes trying to find an open parking space. And I don't know, overall, it was good. The mall area of Disney Springs just reminded me of a local mall. So I was a little put off by that. But once you get into the center where all the restaurants are and the experiences are, then it goes back to being Disney. And, and it was good. The food was good. I had never eaten at Raglan Road before. So I had the shepherd's pie. I thought for sure shepherd's pie came in a crust.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, apparently not. That was something that Brian wanted me to try, and it was fun. It was a good way to kind of bookend the days in the parks. So overall, a very, very good trip.
So the big question is, will you be back, and when will you be back?
No, I'm never going back. When will I be back? Heaven knows. Had you asked me the last time that I was at Walt Disney World when I would go next, I would have said, I don't know, a few years from now. And it ended up being 12 years. We'll see. I have a trip planned to Europe next year, and I'm planning on being out in that area. Unfortunately, not in your area.
Boo.
Then I'm kind of hoping to go, to Shanghai and Hong Kong. So I don't know whether World makes sense at this point, whether to go back there or to go to a totally different and new experience. So it may be a while before I'm back.
I would like to say a massive thank you for sharing your trip with us.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you once again. Can't wait to speak to you in the future about your other Disney travels.
It'll be fun. Thanks for having me.
Well, that just about wraps up this week's show. We hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to check out Paul's podcast, Window to the Magic. You can also contact the Disney Dream Girls by email info@disneydreamgirls.com, Twitter @DisDreamGirls, Instagram Disney_dream_girls, and finally give our Facebook page a like. We will be back next week with some more Disney fun and games for you. Goodbye.